Hello.
If there anyone from first year, then you can just forward the link, guys, to the first year peoples with your peers. We'll be starting in 1 to 2 minutes. And if you all can, then I would request everyone, maximum guys, to turn on your camera. So we will be like starting soon.
So, good evening, everyone. So, I hope you all are doing great. So, it's a great time that we will be starting our session. So, for before starting the session, I would like to go through the schedule of the session because it will be a 2 hour long session. So, it's very important for us to know what will be the schedule. So, our speaker, ma'am, will be sharing with us. First of all, she will be sharing with us her joining journey, how she reached this pinnacle that she is today. And along with that, after that, we will be having a 10-minute break in which there will be a quiz organized. We have organized a quiz for you through which you all will be eligible to receive some Amazon vouchers. And after that, she will be proceeding with some hands-on experience, hands-on practices. And yeah, so along with that, I want all of you to know that there are some rules of the questions that you people can ask, that you can drop your questions on the Slido. The link is provided in the comment section. And along with that, the question with the maximum upvotes will be answered. Guys, if you find any question that is the similar to the question you want to ask ma'am, then do not re-question it, do not repost it. Rather, you can just upvote it, and the question with the maximum upvote will be answered. The maximum 5 to 6 questions will be answered with the maximum upvotes. So without doing any further delay, I
Aditya, just a second.
hmm,
Aditya, sorry to interrupt. So, guys, I will be sharing my screen with the Slido link to everyone. So you all join there. Okay. So the quiz will also be a part of that Slido this workshop. So I'll be sharing my screen. So I hope you all be like able to see that. Just a second. Yeah, I guess so. It's visible, guys. Okay, here you can drop your questions as well as you all will be able to go for the quiz also here. So everyone join this Slido and whatever questions you have, you can ask freely to ma'am. Ma'am is here, but you have to drop your questions in this Slido part. The keyword is here along with the joining code.
okay. Hmm. So let's proceed. Okay. So thank you all for joining this session on this Friday, nice Friday evening. So today we have with us one of our honorable senior data engineer from none other than Netflix, California, and an alumnus from SIT who has 15 years of experience in data engineering. Her core expertise lies in design and implementation of both streaming and batch data movement, as well as in crafting analytical solutions. Prior to the role at Netflix, she was primarily working with data warehousing and self-serve business intelligence. She has a great expertise in this field, and with us today, she will be sharing all her journey, how achieve this position. And so, without wasting much time, I would like to invite the woman of the hour, the honorable speaker, Sreyashi Das, to continue. Thank you, ma'am. You can, the rest goes to you, ma'am.
Good evening, everyone. Can you all hear me well?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Good evening.
Okay,
Good evening,
cool.
ma'am.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a really very good opportunity for me to interact with all of you. And I'm happy to answer all your questions too at the end. And I do want people to ask questions. So how I have structured the workshop is it's of 2 hours. So 45 minutes I will spend, you know, sharing my journey, sharing the knowledge I've gained through working on these analytics spaces. And after that, like we'll have around Q&A, and then we'll have another 45 minutes having a deep dive into the technology part of it. And then we can have Q&A after that as well. So let me share my slides. All right. So you might have already have an understanding of what a data model is. It's um, it's a way to represent the business, right? Like there are so many types of business today, like finance, retail, manufacturing, and everywhere you have a lot of data sets. But how you get meaning out of those raw data set is what matters at the end of the day. So we're going to discuss about all those things about data models today. So this is the brief outline. I'll share my journey and then I'll dive deep into data science at Netflix. And then this might be a really helpful roadmap for you to break into data, since data practitioners can be playing a lot of roles. As you know, we have data engineers, data analysts, data scientists, and business intelligence engineers. So there are a lot of roles um, today. So how will you traverse the job market? And then I'll also touch upon a little bit about data visualization that is built upon foundational data models, and some real life examples at Netflix, how we've data modeled some like raw data sets. And then at the end, we'll have Q&A for each session. So brief introduction about me, and then I'll go on to my journey, like you mentioned. So right now, um, so this 11th November, I'll be completing 5 years at Netflix. I mean, I today also I can't believe that it's like 5 years. Time really flies. And so far, like I've been, as Dutta mentioned, it's around 15 years of journey. But I've heard like people having 20 years, 25 years. So there's a long way to go, and it's not the end of the road yet. So and at Netflix, I work specifically in in the department where we are making movies, not really licensing movies. By licensing, I mean um, let's say you have Friends on Netflix, right? So some other studio has made that movie, but some movies like Bridgerton, Stranger Things. So there are lots of movies like that that are created around the world, and so there is a lot of operational and logistical operations that happens to really make that movie from script to screen. So all of that creative workflows generate a lot of data. And like we work with a lot of machine learning engineers and data scientists to build algorithms to have insights from that data. And this data could be, you know, um, just in Google Sheets, just in Excel files, just in unstructured raw format. And then as a data engineer, my role is to like efficiently and reliably source that data from various data systems, integrate that data and make it available for, you know, non-technical users or data scientists to have them, generate more insights, more data uh, for um, for enabling our products. So that's a brief about like what is the subject area I work on currently. And prior to this, I've worked at Infosys for a long period of time, um, like around 10 years, and it's been a really like a lot of learnings back at Infosys as well. I can touch upon that later. And then, of course, like I'm a pass out of SIT, so it's great to be here again. And I think studying computer science at SIT has been like one of the best days or like some of the best days of my life. I remember and I really cherish those days, and the friendships that I've had, and they are still friends. I go back to my college sometimes, and I touch base with my friends as well now and again. But those were really, those foundational years where, where I got to know the basics of programming, of hardware, of, automata, things that really, really made me aware of the computer science world. So after that, so I also did my master's, but that too, I did it online. It was during the COVID times, so that there was a lot of time for me. I was in Amsterdam that time. I spent around a year in Amsterdam, and I was working with Netflix at that point in time. So I had around a lot of time zone difference. So in the morning, I used to just complete assignments, and the evening I used to do my office work. So that way, I managed to do my masters during COVID. Um, yeah, and so right now, I wanted to like share my journey, and just remember that this journey is really unique to me, and it's not a path that anyone can take. So everyone's journey is unique, right? And um, so when I passed out of SIT, and I I luckily got a job at that point in time. I was selected at Infosys, and at that time, 2008, 2009, it was a recession period, and we 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 were the first batch where we didn't have like companies coming to the college. We had to go to Calcutta to go for the campusing. So there was a lot of like um, pool campusing going on. I missed TCS. My phone rang that time during the interview. So I don't know whether that was a reason or not, but I missed TCS. And then the second one was Infosys. And that day, the same kind of pool of candidates were there, lots of candidates. We had, those um, what do you call aptitude tests and interview rounds. And finally, at the end of the day, when I saw myself like in a small room where you had just 25 people out of those thousands, I was really dumbstruck. Like, and we had one girl selected from computer science and one girl from IT, and so I that was really an eye opener for me that uh, anything can happen anytime. Don't just lose hope if you didn't get in TCS, or if you didn't get the first job that you wanted to get. um, and So after that, at that point in time, I wanted to have a good job, good money, and then I joined the job in Bhubaneswar, Infosys, and I I worked for Apple as my client. So we got MacBooks. Those were so things people crave for at that point in time. Um, and I spent a lot of time like learning there. My one of the things I remember from my first manager was he told me that whatever you do, Sreyashi, you should understand like people should know your name. I don't know whether it resonates with you or not, but it's like you have to be speaking up. You have to be talking to people. You have to um, uh, understand people's needs, and people will remember you for the work that you do. So that really always is at the back of my mind, that whatever I'm doing, I make sure that it it really helps, or it really elevates people's needs, so that way. um, and in Bhubaneswar, I I really did a lot of um groundwork, you can say. Things were very manual at that point in time, like spending nights for releases. Was I thought that was the norm that time, and I used to go with the flow um, back then. Uh, but people. I also saw people who managed their time well. They used to, go for workouts. They used to go for vacations. But I was like, work, 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 work. So I was a bit like crazy about work at that point in time. Then I got a chance. After 4 years, I got an opportunity to come to um, US. I I worked at the Cupertino office here for Apple. Like it was through Infosys, and then um, so that role was kind of different in the sense I had to coordinate with a lot of folks like at in California and back in India offshore. So in the morning, just meetings, 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 and in the night, it was mostly like giving the developers work to do. So um, this this was going on for some time, but then it became a little boring because I was not doing technical stuff, and I saw people like switching jobs at that point in time, and then I also tried to figure out like what's the best way to upskill myself. So back then I um, so there were some sessions at Infosys at that point in time related to machine learning, and that I just attended like after office hours, and that was the time when I got my first peek into statistics, into linear regression, logistic regression, and it really like I like that subject a lot of a lot of time I used to like go in the weekends to libraries and study Python and how to implement the stuff, things like that. But and also at the back of my mind, I also thought that if I do this piece by piece and I'm not doing the job, I think I have to do my master's in data science so that I get that understanding of this subject in depth. So I also had the wish to do master's in data science from that time onwards. Um, then I jumped a few companies. I went to a company to implement cloud-based migration. So let's say, for example, you have data in data centers and you manage that data, but then there is also data in the cloud, and there is another way to manage that data in the cloud, right? So when I switched companies, I worked in the new company for around 3 months. It gave me a lot of understanding around what's happening in the industry. Um, like if you keep on working in the same company, the same things, you are not aware of what is happening outside the company, right? So that gave me a glimpse to the latest technology, that is cloud. At that point in time, it was 2008, 17, 18. That time. But unfortunately, because of some visa issues, I had to my visa got denied at that point in time. And then luckily, like my former employer again, like rehired me to his to Infosys. And so I went back to that place. But then when I went back, I wasn't the same. I wasn't the same person, right? I got a glimpse of what is happening outside. I knew that I had, that aptitude for learning more. So I continued to spend more time, giving like certifications, attending to lectures online, lot of like YouTube videos, and really trying to figure out like, what's my next step, because this is not something I really wanted to do in the long term. Being in the same state over and over again. So I gave a lot of interviews. I went to Amazon, I went to Google, um, and then everywhere what was happening is when my role and everything was fine. My uh, resume was getting picked up. The interviews were happening properly. But then when the final selection round came, I was rejected. So it was like again and again and again and again happening. It was a process for like a year or so like that. And but I didn't like leave hope, because I also made sure, like in my own area, like at Infosys as well, I make sure like my manager knows that, I want to like go to another subject area. So he assigned me to another project so that, I get some exposure to another business and such. So in this way, like I always made sure like I keep on learning uh, in in during the job. So after that, out of nowhere, Netflix cracked. Okay, so uh, like I went there thinking that it was an office day, and I would come back by lunch after giving the first rounds. I knew that I wouldn't be, selected for the next few rounds after lunch. So I didn't even tell my manager at Infosys that I'm going for interviewing, and then I went. And then the hiring manager at Netflix said, "You are eligible for the next rounds." And then it was a whole day of interviews, like morning 9 a.m. to evening 6 p.m. It was a lot of whiteboarding and question answering, and understanding my prior experience um, about the work that I did at Infosys or at Intuit for the cloud-based migration. Um, and and the next day I got a call that you got the job and this is the offer. Like at that point in time, I just wanted a job, but the offer, oh my God. I mean, I was like swayed away at that point in time. Like I even didn't know, like, that like people give so much, pay for doing work at Netflix. So that time I was just giving interviews. So I didn't do at that point in time. And then I just say, okay, I'll join. And then that was my first time I'm working like in November 2019. I have like a lot of like good, stunning colleagues working with me. And first of all, the change that I've observed at Netflix was there is no hierarchical structure. Like in the previous companies, I only could talk to the technical lead or somebody just above my level. But at Netflix at that point in time, we had no levels, so you can just reach out to anyone anytime and talk. So that really and no privacy at all. Like, no, all the documents were shared with everyone. You can like work on any technology you like. You can develop anything. you like, you have, the resources of the world for you to work on. And so, and everyone was really helpful. So that's why I really enjoy working at Netflix, because it gives me a lot of opportunities to harness my skills. Um, and then this year, I made a resolution that okay, I'll do a lot of conferences. I do a lot of technical writing. So this year, I've been doing a lot of, as you mentioned, like I've done some panel discussion with Anupam sir, and so this was one of my goals for this year, to come out of my like shell and figure out, how I can share my knowledge with the outside world. And this is something I really like mentoring and making sure like I share my learnings. So that's a glimpse of my journey so far. It's like not um, smooth, or everything is smooth. Like running even at Netflix today, every day there is something new to learn. So it's a continuous process of learning, I must say. But the only thing that could be a tip for y'all is to not um, you know stay back and uh, you know uh, like you should like, just show up. Even if you have 1% confidence, you should just show up there at the event or in the panel or something. Like it will work out at the end of the day. So that's what would be my tip. Um, if you just boil down all my journey to just one single word. Um, then I'll go next. So as I mentioned, this book by Bill Gates Sr., it's a game changer. Like for me, I really like this book, Showing Up for Life. And some tips for all of you is like go out and do internships, lots and lots of internships. I I don't even know like why I did those internships on Visual Basics, Java back in the days when I was in Shiliguri. But I think it gave me an idea. Like today, if I have to work on Visual Basic or something, I know that I can just start with it. So just go for it, and you know 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, you can just try to do some practical applications instead of just learning the theory. How things work, you can know better if you do more internships. Collaboration. So nothing can be done alone. So once you are in the industry or in the like if you go to research academia, it's all about like collaboration. So you have to build those team building skills, and how you can uh, like understand the strengths and weaknesses of your team members, and make sure you allot tasks, and how you can make the project really delivered on time. Meetups. I I go to I went, not now, I went to a lot of meetups back in the days when I was at Infosys. Like there were meetups organized by big companies like Facebook, Google. I think there were a lot of women in data meetups. So I used to just go there and talk to people. Technical writing. I cannot say much about this. Like this is really so important. Technical writing, you have to start it from, I think, from you. This skill is developed over years, so you have to be really good. And if you are really good at technical writing, um it 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 just helps like anywhere you go. Another thing is note taking. Note taking is very essential. You'll have meetings. I think now we have AI, and AI as a note taker is there, and that's really beneficial. But sometimes I um like to take notes in paper and pen. So so that's a skill also. When you are in a meeting, you have to be an active listener and figure out like what are the action items, what are the next steps that you can take. And the last but not the least, as I mentioned, um, like there is no end to learning, right? So you got to be confident, and you got to like fake it till you make it. That's something I really learned. I mean, it doesn't work all the time. Like I mentioned, right? I went for so many interviews and it didn't work. Uh, but but ultimately, you got to show up in life, and sometimes you don't have all the knowledge, all the information. uh, you have to think what could be something like you as a person can provide input to that meeting or something, right? So you won't have all the information all the time, but still you have to be there. So that those skills you need to develop. All right, so I'll pivot to some technical topics now. um, what exactly is data science at Netflix? So I would love to have some interaction here. What do you think data science at Netflix is? Can someone add points on chat?
Um, can we just take up some questions? There were some few questions in the sliders, if you give a permission.
Oh, okay. Oh, sure.
Yeah, yeah. I'll be just sharing the screen. Yeah, so the most we got a most upvote question for a third year student. What should you do for campusing? So this was the most I can see the most upvote.
For a third year student, what should we do for campusing? I mean, you're in which department, which company you want to go for, right? You have to um, understand what's the role, what's the job you're going for, and they will also ask for a resume, right? And your resume should be catered or tailored to that particular role, to that particular company. Each company has their own like mission and ways of working. Um, so basically, it's not that one resume will work for each company, right? Every company. So you need to have let's at least 4 or 5 different varieties of resumes, so that you can highlight uh, your skills based on the job requirements. So you will see the job requirements, and then based on the job requirements, you should have your resume. Otherwise, it will not match. So that's the first step to get picked up. And then next, there will be a screening round, of course, like those are like generic rounds. And so you have to, practice um, those questions. But I'm not sure like what's the trend now, how the interviews are happening.
No,
um,
but
for, yeah,
I can share a glimpse with you.
yeah.
Like it's the same way back, but some have changed and some have come up to the today's trends. But there is
Mhm,
aptitude, the forever
mhm,
first round aptitude. After that, will be some companies go for the technical coding parts, and or else they go for the direct technical interviews. After that, HR rounds
mhm.
with the same as you said, full campus. Yet SIT is still on full campus in Techno India Group. We also till now we have to go in Kolkata and do that, except one or two companies that come directly to SIT, and rather everything is still that same.
Okay, okay. Yeah, I mean, um, the thing is, you have to build your skills. There are lots of companies. If you don't get in one company, don't feel disheartened. Okay. There are there are so many good companies, right? That's the thing that I want to share. Um, and even if you are not good at one skill, if you're good at others, just try to identify where your skill would match, right? Say, for example, you're good at being managing people. Maybe you should apply for that role rather than, the technical role. Um, and but I would always say, like, because you're in a very formative period, you should go for technical roles, because even the managers need to have technical understanding of stuff. Um, so it just depends on the job requirements, I guess. I have nothing to say more about this. Yep.
Okay, so now we can go forward with another questions. I guess so. The next question, anyone, ma'am, you choose it. I guess so. The both the three questions next we have is from first year, most probably. So they all are like, which programming language should I start, or some have like questions of the Python libraries, and along with that, programming languages, another one as a freshers.
Sufficient for data analysis. Um, well, pandas, I'm sure. NumPy, I'm sure. Matplotlib, I haven't used a lot. Seaborn also, I think it's useful. But fundamentally, you should have good knowledge about programming concepts like, Python, object-oriented programming, exception handling, um, I don't know, those class instantiations, building Python libraries, building user-defined functions. Those things, like having not a basic Python knowledge, but an intermediate Python knowledge, strive to do at least, um, one program a day, I would say, um, on your own, rather than, using ChatGPT or something to do that program. But um, it's not actually about um, knowing the knowing the theoretical part also. It's about problem solving, right? You should sit with a problem that you haven't solved before, and then try to solve it yourself. That's what would be my tip there. What foundational skills or courses or programming languages would you recommend for a student, or suggestions for freshers who want to become data engineer? Well, foundationally, you have to have knowledge about SQL and Python. And these are the two languages that you should know. SQL is for querying the data from database, and it's a universal query language. Though it depends, though it varies when you query from different query engines like Spark, the SQL syntax can be different. Trino, the SQL syntax can be different. But if you understand, the basics, or how do you rank customers? How do you use the aggregations? How do do a lot of complex joins, especially around optimizing joins. If you understand how joins work, how the data is distributed in the data architecture, right? For example, in the case of Teradata, when you write queries and do an explain query plan, it will show you how the data is read from the disks. So if you understand those mechanisms and develop, that understanding of how to query efficiently, that will really help you to become a very good data engineer. Because at the end of the day, the code that you write, it's it's going to be shared. It's going to be like peer reviewed. And if you don't use the optimizations on top of your queries, um, I think there will be bad reviews. So you have to understand the the basics, how to optimize queries, first of all. And I also want to stress upon the fact to understand distributed systems, how it works, how you can scale, how you can build reliable systems, how you can add audits to data pipelines. And so these are the things we generally deal with as a data engineer.
As a part, we can say for the SQL, for the first years, they can like start it from anywhere. Like they don't know also basically what is a DBMS or something like that. In till third year we get the subject of DBMS now. So till third year they don't get. So for them, they can go with any of the like gigs for gigs or any which one will be better for them if you could guide them. Any idea, ma'am, about SQL basically? Like they think that I interacted with some guys, so they told like um SQL is pretty much easier, I feel, from my side rather than of DSA or something. I don't know
Hmm.
many will cross, but some guys, but some students are there. They feel that, अरे, what kind of a language is SQL? क्या हो रहा है basically? So
Hmm.
this thing comes up, and but SIT in our college, I hope the practical part for DBMS is quite good. As a third year, while we receive a good number of like sessions, practical sessions, which help us to like normal student also to grow up very well from the basics. From the last, I also heard that it's the same from the last 15 years, the same practicals. The I guess some name I don't know. Alok Basu sir created some assignments previously. That is only going till date. And interestingly, that's only being asked in every interviews.
Oh, oh my goodness. Um, I mean, if you would ask me, um, internet has a lot of resources of raw data sets. If you go to Kaggle, if you download, CSV dumps data sets, you can um, you can like ask someone to give you access to extract that data and pull out meaningful information using SQL. So let's say in Kaggle you can go and get movie related data, right? And then just use SQL queries to try out hands-on how to pull data into a table and then write queries on top of it. So you have to do some groundwork. It's like it's all your interest, I feel. Everything is there on the internet. Yeah. And also you can take courses as well.
They are
Does that
pretty
answer
more.
your question?
Yeah, ma'am, perfectly. Uh, and it's a like internet is now a boon for every resources, I can say. So and free
Yeah.
resources, huge number of resources are there. If we normally
I
see
mean,
of like
yeah.
gigs for gigs, lead code for practicing, many are there.
Yeah. It's just you sit with it for hours. That's
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah. We have many more questions, ma'am, on the screen, like which type of programming language should I start, and many more are there.
Yeah, maybe like I'll go back to my slides. This one I
Perfect,
pretty
ma'am. I will
much
make
covered.
yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am.
Can you see my screen or no?
I'm just share it once.
Okay.
Is it too? Is it visible? Yeah, ma'am. It's perfectly visible now.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So data science at Netflix is a bit different. You might be wondering, like, you are watching a movie on Netflix, like, why do you care about data science at Netflix, right? What happens behind the scenes? So there's a lot of things happening behind the scenes. There is, let's say, for example, um, like a movie takes around a year or two to create. If it is an animation movie, it takes around 4 to 5 years to create. A lot of planning and budgeting happens. And um, in the traditional world, um, where people are used to writing on paper and pen and sticking stickies on the walls to understand, the process, workflow, and everything, and writing emails to each other to track things, it's inefficient. So how does Netflix launch so many movies. So at this point in time, if you see, there are thousands of movies that are getting, shot um, across the world. How we are able to, manage all of this huge volume of data sets, of workflows, of people, of schedules, of budgets. Um, so there's a lot of things happening behind the scenes, and the questions that we're trying to answer are like this: how many titles are we launching this year? If someone wants to know about this answer, how do we go about it? Do we ask everyone? Do we send emails to everyone? No, right? So we need to have a centralized place where we can get the information that, okay, 800 movies are launching in 2025, just a random number. How much did it cost to produce X title? Did we spend more than our budget? So before a movie starts the shooting phase, that is the camera roll phase, um, we know like we have allocated this much budget. But later on, there might be the director might think that, okay, um, I don't want to shoot in India, I want to shoot in Switzerland. So then, the budget increases. Um, and then we spend more. So how much did we spend more, right? Then where did we spend the most? Like, did we spend more on, hiring the actors or actresses, top tier actor actresses, or did we spend more by going to a different location, or did we spend more by adding more visual effects to the movie? So these are many analysis techniques that we use to understand uh, where are we spending the money that we allocated. And spends billions of dollars every year for making movies. So it's important to, have an understanding of how the money is being spent. Um, so we have, can you do a time check? Can you tell me like how much time is left from 45 minutes?
Yes, Tripto.
Yeah, it's actually 7 to 10 minutes still left, ma'am.
Okay, okay. So I'll take 10 minutes then. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Sure.
then I'll move on to questions.
Sure, ma'am.
Yeah.
Sure, ma'am.
So so this is the complete journey of a movie. You can say it starts from the idea. Um, like someone will write a script. It could be like in one page, it could be 100 pages. It's just an idea. And then our creative executives, they green light the script, and then we manage to get a deal, like a contract, basically an agreement saying that this movie will be created in this period of time, this will take this much amount of money, um, it will be playing in, let's say, India, Sri Lanka, and Japan, and not playing in US, things like that. All those deals happen. Pre-production is something where you have, all the planning and budgeting work happening, working with actors and actresses, figuring out their schedules and building a schedule for the complete uh, movie making. Then production, it's actually when the movie has those principal photography, which means it is being shot. It could be like in a room, it could be in a outside environment, and then shots are like multiple shots, right? So here we are talking about like videos and audio files, which are generated in massive volumes. And previously, all of this data in a traditional way uh, used to be like stored in like DVDs or some hard disks, and then it used to be like couriered to another place for further refinement. But right now we have cloud, so it's uploaded to cloud, and people from all over the world can work on the same video at the same time. But it's a lot of data, and it's a different data set. Like media and video data sets are different. It's not like normal RDBMS. It's a different data set. Post production, it is mostly after you finish shooting, then um, you need to have like the alignment of the video and the audio, right? Like the sound mixing, the editing, those phases happen in the post production. Localization, it means that, um, say, for example, Squid Games, it's a Korean movie, but then it got like subtitles in English, it got dubbed in English so that people around the world can see it. So it generates more media, more data um, as part of localization. QC is quality control. Before it actually, um, plays in each of our devices, and around the world there are like I don't know how many, but thousands and thousands of devices, device types, right? So for each device type, we have to have an encoding of the media, which can play on that device, right? So before that, we need to have that quality control, whether um, each shot or each asset that is there, it has proper pixels. There is no like missing um mix, there is no like lack of picture quality in the assets. And then it goes for media processing so that it can play in various devices. And then finally, when uh, the date comes of launch, let's say, for example, it has to launch on this date, um, then those media files are sent to various, CDN centers. It's called the Netflix way of caching, where based on the region, based on the user profile, a set of video files are shared to data centers adjacent um, to the user home, so that when the user goes to Netflix and clicks on the button play, then there is no buffer. So the recommended videos are already there for them to play. And then later on, if the user is continuously playing, then more media files are sent over time to that particular zone. So this is kind of a glimpse of the pitch to play life cycle. And I mainly work on this area, like the planning and budgeting till the quality control and managing data sets around it. Um, any questions on this one?
Um,
Otherwise, I can
uh,
complete and then take questions. Or
Yeah, ma'am. Just you can complete. Then we will be having 2 to 3 questions. People can raise their hands, and then
Mhm.
we will unmute and they can ask their questions. And after that, we will having a quiz session and giveaways will occur. So for now, you can just complete it, and then we can just go with the
Okay,
questions.
cool.
Yeah.
So I wanted to touch upon like you know roadmap to break into data, what it is like. So as I mentioned, it's like raw data sets. Raw means it cannot be queried. You cannot write SQL on top of it. So you have to do some pre-processing, data cleaning. You have to, insert missing values. You have to remove invalid records. You have to do a lot of like data cleaning. So data cleaning is most important as a data engineer to make sure you have good data to do analysis on. Then, of course, you have the programming skills, SQL, Python. So this will really help you, uh, you know, enter into the data world. Then you have to know like descriptive statistics, predictive statistics, like the algorithms, how you can use the algorithms to develop a deeper understanding about data. So here, your analytical skills are required. And this only comes from practice. And there is no like one way around it. So there are a lot of algorithms. And so depending on the use case, you have to use one algorithm versus another. Then these are all once you know the theory, have a statistics background, like you have to know about what are the metrics, what are the KPIs. KPIs means key performance indicators. And you cannot build it like alone. You have to talk to people. Like as I mentioned, your business understanding really helps. Here, whichever organization you go to, you will have a business stakeholder um, the who needs the data. So you have to understand what metrics will help him uh, solve his problems. Like for example, if he's um, interested in inventory management, then what metrics are required? He wants to know like every day what's the state of my inventory in this particular location, right? So that's a metric for him. Each day, what's the inventory, and it should not go below a particular threshold. And then finally, it is more about how do you communicate your story. So once you have, a dashboard, a Google Sheet, a query, how do you tell the story, what you have understood from the data? It's just not giving random numbers to your leads or something. It's just have to know the meaning of the data and communicate well in a presentation. So data storytelling is a great, great skill to have. And this is how you can actually, move in your data journey and become a data scientist. Because data scientists are really good at data storytelling and they have all the foundational skills that I mentioned um, a while ago. So once you have it, I mean, it's it's more about um, there is no like one size fits all, right? You have to develop that knowledge um, through applying your skills in various areas and just experimentation. You have to experiment a lot uh, and try to like be creative how you approach querying the data or creating dashboards, things like that. Some of the applications I wanted to discuss, and it's about like building the things, how things work, and what knowledge you need in these areas. So these are the areas that I worked previously, like in finance, data security, because financial data is very like secretive information, and you should know like how do you secure data well, like using column level, row level security, understanding like security, how it works in the cloud, um, data accuracy, like how do you um, assess data quality? How do you integrate data and make sure like all the data that is there in the source has come to your data warehouse? Data formatting in finance, like most of the things, like all the companies wouldn't have like well structured data. So you have to like write Python scripts, Google App scripts to format the data. So these are the skills that really are helpful in the finance world. Healthcare, of course, there's a lot of volume of data there, and you need to have an understanding how do you write optimized data pipelines to push the data into the data warehouse, whether it is real time or batch. And it's like unstructured data, right? It's text based, all prescriptions and clinical descriptions. It's a lot of unstructured data. Data formatting is another thing in healthcare as well. Entertainment, like I mentioned, the data set is different. Like you have to deal with videos, audios, you have to deal with pixels, frame count, data storage. Like you have to understand, like, for example, AWS S3, how how you can store data efficiently. If let's say a movie has launched already and it has been like 1 to 2 years, then you need to know like I have to move these files to Glacier, which costs me less, AWS Glacier, right? So you need to like, how do you apply the knowledge that you have gained through those certifications and cloud-based technical courses in real life? Data integration, it's like in Netflix, we work with a lot of vendor companies like Sony, then a lot of other companies. So each company has their own way of managing data, and we need to pull the data from each of them and have a holistic understanding of an integrated data set. So those skills, how do you connect various sources is important. Retail, it's more like data is sparse. Um, because sometimes you have to launch a new product and you don't know what is the customer base. So how do you launch a product well? How do you make sure like your investments are gaining value? So you have to be uh, knowing how to create models based on incomplete data. Data storage, of course, the same thing, and data integration is also there in retail. So I wanted to like touch upon a data viz example that helps. And this is just an example, okay? And this I've got from a tech blog. And I would really recommend all of you to read the tech blogs for Netflix. I know like you'll not understand in depth, but at least if you develop that practice, you'll get to know like what's happening in the industry. So here, if you see, this is called a Sankey diagram, and what it does is you can really visualize um, the applications. Like, for example, here we are seeing a lot of VFX shots, how it is proceeding with auditing. Auditing has a lot of like steps or states. And so using this diagram, any executive can come and see, come and click and dive deep into like how many VFX shots got completed, how many are in progress, how many are blocked. Um, So this is an efficient way of displaying information where you have multiple states um, for a workflow, and how a stakeholder can uh, instead of crunching data from a Excel or spreadsheet, they can come to a database and just do some clicks and get to do his job. So you need to understand uh, how and when one diagram works versus another. So a bar chart could work in some case, um, pie chart could work in some case, but in some cases, a Sankey chart is really helpful for giving this visibility. So with that, I can conclude my first session, and we can go to Q&A.
So now we will be just people, folks. Please raise your hands, and we will be just taking some 3 to 4 questions, yeah, or 4 to 5 questions, which you can ask yourself to ma'am. And after that, we will be proceeding forward with the quiz and giveaways. So people who want to ask question, please raise your hands so so that ma'am can answer you and it gets visible to us. Repeating again, anyone who wants to is curious about anything that they want to ask ma'am, you can just raise your hands and we will be coming to you and then you can directly ask it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Rangshu, we have one.
Just a second. Okay. We have Plovdiv Kumar Kundu. You can unmute yourself. Plovdiv. You can
Lov,
unmute yourself.
Lovdev Kumar, you can unmute yourself and you can ask question.
Okay, so okay, someone is there
On
by the name Lily Cute. Okay, so it's a. I hope it was very much decent to use the original name, guys. Masadur Rahman, Lily Cute. You can unmute yourself and you can ask
so one
one
by
by
one.
one.
So first, as Lily
Masadur, you
cute.
can.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, again, he correct. Okay.
Hi, ma'am. I have a question that is lead code helpful for entering into data science because I'm just a first year CSE student.
I'm just bit interrupting you. Could you please give your original name, or else you won't be able to get a certificate after the webinar. So this is for your part. Drop a original name to any of our moderators. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, yeah, ma'am. You can.
Oh, sure. I mean, lead code is a great way to practice because it has a good set of problems, right? You have the basic, you have, I think, what they are called different levels. Um, but I
Mm,
would really suggest that um, instead of like looking at the solutions, just try to solve the problem by yourself first. And once you solve the problem by yourself, then you go to the solutions and see what are the optimal ways of solving it. Like um, that way. And I think you have to do these problems again and again. Um, and that's the trick that I understood. Like you tend to forget problems because there's so many problems. And it also depends, like, um, don't be crazy to solve like 700,000 problems. Just try to be a little focused. Um, for example, I'll tell you what's if you go for a Google interview, if you go for Amazon interview, like if you go for like top tier companies, they will not like go into very hard problems. They will go into foundational problems, and they will try to know your thought process of how you're solving the problem rather than, just coding. Like what are the edge cases? Um, why did you use this loop? Are you missing any any data point there? Um, so while solving the problem, just don't like solve that 700,000 problems, I would say. Just solve five problems, but you know it end to end. That's what my suggestion would be. But yeah, lead code is a great way to enter into data science because programming skills, there is no way to like replace because programming skills are um, for enriching your thought process, how to solve the problem. Yeah. Does that answer your question?
Yeah,
Yes,
I
ma'am.
hope.
Thank you.
Masadur, you can just turn on your camera, microphone, sorry.
Hello, good evening, everyone. Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening.
Ma'am, my question is that what I observe is that now all the companies are opting for ELT, ma'am, extract, load, and transform, ma'am, over the
Yeah.
ETL, over the traditional ETL. Ma'am, so my question is one benefit is that we can use cloud in ELT in the new technology, ma'am, rather than what are the else benefit we are getting using ELT, ma'am.
Mm. Um, I mean, I can tell you one example. Um, basically, before the data lands in the data warehouse, if there are systems that are doing a lot of like stitching together, creating a data model. Like for example, if you're loading data from a graph database, right? It has its own data model. And once it lands in the data warehouse, then you can like, extract and put it into a tabular structure. So the reason why ELT works in that particular pipeline is from the graph to the data warehouse, you can track the data lineage, like how the data um, processing is happening further from that graph data model. So that's one way. And ELT sometimes it depends on the data set, also the volume of the data set. Um, all transformations cannot be like feasible um, when you're doing like real-time data movement. Sometimes it's more feasible to do the transformations in the data warehouse since you have various query engines that work on large volume data sets and transform the data faster rather than doing it in stream or doing it before it comes to the data warehouse. But there are small data sets as well. And for those, I think ETL works well. And I would just say it depends on the use case. And are you having any specific use case in mind? Like which data set are you talking about?
No, ma'am.
Okay. But you have to look at the data set and try to like see um, where your transformation is going to be efficient. If your transformation is going to be efficient in the data warehouse, do it in the data warehouse. If your transformation is can be done while the data is in motion, then do the transformation in that place. So I would just suggest that. But there is no like everyone is going for ELT. No. But there are places where we are doing transformations in before the data lands in the data warehouse as well.
Okay,
Does
so
it answer your question?
yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Just a second, ma'am. Just the last questions I will ask you to take. I've seen here many guys have given up this questions. Do modded APK take out data from phones? Like it has been repeated many times.
What is the
Just
meaning of it?
do
The
modded APKs like I guess so. They are asking like that
No,
Android
it
apps
is
we use.
about crack file, crack APKs. Like there may be certain free version of it, and there will be a premium version of it. Like when you buy it, you get certain extra features. So there are many patches or mod APK available. So you can install that and enjoy the premium features for free. So they are asking that whether they are like safe to use or not.
I mean, just like a crack version, we like
yeah,
crack
ma'am.
version of an app. Just as simple as a crack version, modded version,
I have no knowledge about it,
moderated
actually.
moderated APKs. Like many times we use. Suppose if I take an example of Truecaller, so many guys
Mhm.
uses Truecaller premium. We have to pay the money for premium. So there is the modded APK for that. So they use it like that. So the same as goes for Spotify too. Spotify also
Spotify and
has.
Netflix too, ma'am.
What is it?
It's mod APK,
What is
ma'am.
the
Means yeah, ma'am.
mod APK?
APK.
Ma'am,
Mod.
like
Yes.
without paying any money, we can access directly to the features it provides, premium features, ma'am.
And just like
Hmm.
we were using Windows 7, Windows 8 previous, but rather than buying the original one, we get it from someone. Just same like that.
Oh,
I guess so. It's a bit of like that, right, Dipto?
Yeah, yeah, actually.
No, Arunanshu, I can like correct you at that point. That is not actually crack. That is actually we're
No, no,
using
I am
KMS
saying just
license.
example.
Uh,
Yeah, yeah.
No,
That's perfect.
actually, no, we are not actually cracking the Windows. We are actually using KMS license for that. That is actually not legal, but it is not tied into
mm,
the modded version because Windows modding is not so easy or something like that. We are using it
Ah,
like kind of illegally with duplicate license we are using that are not authorized to use, but it is not modded.
okay. So modded APK is just from like that. If we have Netflix, they will get the premium access to the Netflix of that premium Netflix to that APK. It's just same to same app.
yeah. I have no comments on this one. Sorry.
So this is the thing. Anyone else have any questions, or ma'am, should we like go forward with our quiz? We just have a small giveaway for our participants.
Yeah, yeah, sure. Let's go forward.
Okay, guys. Okay, guys. Here is our quiz. Okay, so yeah, so you can like join the quiz through the same Slido. I guess so. Those who have joined, they will get it. Join it fast, and we'll be starting it. We have some two vouchers.
Ma'am, sorry, Rangshu, for interrupting you. Ma'am, we have one more questions that has been asked by one of the fourth tier, and it's that what are the tech stacks you primarily use for your organization or for your work, for your personal work or your professional work or building projects? Because with means with playing with data and all.
Hmm. So as regards to tech stack, as I mentioned, I use Python and SQL heavily, um, a lot. Then I use a lot of orchestration technologies. Um, like you might have heard about Airflow, but we have a Netflix version as well, like Maestro. So orchestration technologies and also um, a lot of like streaming technologies like Spark Streaming, Apache Flink. I work on real-time data. Um, so how do I use SQL? How do I uh, use like transform the data while the data is in motion? Those concepts are important. Um, yeah, and tech stack wise, like I use a lot of like Google Suite a lot for brainstorming and doing whiteboarding sessions and everything. But in a sense, yeah, I mean, from the data science perspective, I use R and few algorithms in machine learning space. But other than that, I think it's mostly making sure that I have like the because I'm a data engineer, I'm not a data scientist, right? So I make sure like I have the data from the source systems flowing to the data warehouse in a very consistent, in a very reliable manner. So yeah, that's what I use.
Yeah, ma'am. Ma'am, one more question from my side. That because you already have explained us that how you means the your experience you have worked on finance sector and many other different. So and you have also means discussed that how distributed systems and something like that we are studying at our semesters and college level. So because we have when we are studying database, DBMS, distributed systems, and subjects like that, we get to means, see topics like acid models like that, atomicity and consistency
Mhm.
and stuff like that. And along with that, we get to see how in the distributed systems, how different systems combine and data are stored at different locations actually, and how they can interconnect and we the users it seems to the user that how it is a one platform that which provides the data. And ma'am,
Mhm.
in your experience, because you work with data and you have seen in data warehousing and places like that, so how actually these all things actually work, the transactions and how, because we have very theoretical overview, the leaky bucket protocols and these and that and acid models. So can you means give us some overview that how all these concepts work in your work?
The thing is, like those concepts are foundational, but those concepts are also foundations for the table formats, the databases that we are using, right? So those are like inbuilt there. For example, um, like you have an application of where a user can, you know, take notes. Now he's typing something. and that particular request goes back and it tries to update that particular record for the user. So it's the responsibility of the RDBMS, like for example, if it is MySQL, if it is Postgres, to take care of that ACID compliance, right? So those are concepts, but those are taken care. It's like uh, when you are writing these things, you need to be aware of of just updating that particular row rather than updating the whole data set, right? That's why it's very important to understand the architecture, how OLTP works, how OLAP works, how you can, you know, do OLTP queries efficiently, how you can write OLAP queries efficiently. So that knowledge is important. But when you join industry, I think, you know, the components or the databases, they take care of the things behind the scenes. That's what my understanding is. Yeah.
Thanks a lot.
But you need to
Thanks.
know those things and use it efficiently, if that makes sense.
Got it, ma'am. Absolutely, ma'am. Got it. Yeah, Arunangshu, with the quiz.
Okay. So, guys, we hope like now we have 52 participants, and or rather, yeah. So we'll be starting. You will be getting 15 questions, 15 to 16 questions are there. Along with that, 15 seconds for each question. The correct answer and the highest and the like the fastest hope will receive the voucher. So let's start. Okay, so this is a pretty much easy question. What is a data set in a machine learning? Just select your select the option. Wow, we get an algorithm that processes data also got for 20%. So let's see the result. And it's a collection of labeled and unlabeled data. So Devashish, Sina, Rohini, Kumari, yet they are all going on. Next question. Which of the following technologies is known for powering chatbots like ChatGPT? It's also a pretty much easy question. Oh, many are there for blockchain, but let's see the correct answer. So it's NLP. And okay, so Kelvin Linus, nice one. We got the leaderboard changed. There was Ishina in the top. Next, it's a it's a daily use. You can say in from say third semester you'll be using this all. Ah, so it's obviously DQ. Okay, there was Ishina Talaja. So the leaderboard got changed. Total. Next, which SQL command is used to retrieve data from a database? Insert, update, delete, select. Guys, just click on the your desired option. It's a retrieve data, guys. It's not like inserting the data, so it's obviously select. Never mind. Okay, so again, it is changing. Which SQL command would you use to create a new table in a database? This is the first query of the SQL, I guess so.
All will be doing this.
Already using this.
Yeah.
Still some said insert. Next question. What does a machine learning model do with the input data? Ignores it. This is the best option, I guess. Ignores it. Yeah. So many maximum guys learns patterns and makes prediction was the option correct. And then we have next, what is the main goal of machine learning? To increase computer memory. Best option. No need to upgrade the RAM, nothing. Just do machine learning. Okay, so as 93% said this, so it's obviously this is the correct answer. And the leaderboard is still the same. Okay, 777, all are correct. Okay, which of the following is a common machine learning library in Python? Pandas, scikit-learn, NumPy, and Jupyter. Wow. So anyone from here knows the right answer? Like Dripto, any guesses?
Jupiter, Jupiter, Jupiter.
Ah, Jupyter. It was a good one. But it's scikit-learn.
Uh,
So 43-40%. Okay, then oh, we got to change the C in the leaderboard. Change in the leaderboard. Next. Okay, which platform uses a machine learning recommendation engine to personalize user content based on viewing history and preferences? Amazon Prime, Apple TV Plus, Disney Plus, and Netflix. Cool. So everyone has got a glimpse, so everyone will go for Netflix. Okay, next. What does SQL stand for? Simple query language.
nah,
From
sequential.
Python.
It's sequential. Alright.
Let's see. Ah, some said sequential. Said structured query language. Again, there is a change. No, it's the same. Okay, what programming language is commonly used by Netflix for backend services? Java, Swift, JavaScript, PHP. Ure baapre. So,
Oranshu, before proceeding,
uh,
I would
yeah,
like
yeah.
to ask ma'am that actually what is the main language that Netflix uses, ma'am?
Java,
Uh,
Java.
Yes,
Java.
Java. But someone said Swift and PHP is also there.
I mean, it's there,
Oh,
but predominantly
Yeah, ma'am.
Java.
Java.
Yeah, ma'am.
Next question. Which programming language is used to implement the Python programming language? Python itself.
Mother of all language.
Uh,
Mhm.
the developer Guido van Rossum did Python first and Python itself.
Wait there for Python.
So it's obvious it is. See, guys, Python से कैसे Python बनाएगा? Then we have, okay, so what is the main purpose of the join operation is SQL? To delete records, to combine data from multiple tables, to sort records, and to count records. Yes, everyone was well known with this. To combine data from multiple tables. No changes in yet. I can see a fourth year guy is leading the top. Fourth year, both the fourth years, first and second. Let's go. But anything can change. What type of database is best suited for storing structured data with predefined schemas? NoSQL, columnar, relational database, key value store. It's obvious relational database when it is a structured data. Oh, just I said there was someone leading, but it got changed. Next question. We have last two questions left. So in data modeling, what does the term feature refer to? The final prediction, an input variable used to make predictions, a type of algorithm, or data storage method. Okay, so many guys told that. So I guess so. Yes, this is the correct answer. The last question. And okay, the entire leaderboard got changed. Last question, let's see. Okay, what is the primary role of data engineering in Netflix data ecosystem? Building user interfaces, managing databases, ensuring data quality and processing large-scale data, and developing mobile apps. Okay, so I guess, ma'am, they are always they are right for this one. I hope so. As a data engineer, I guess so you will be the perfect one.
Yeah, of course.
It's a
Yeah.
use scale data.
Actually, managing the DBA role is no longer there, managing databases.
So, guys, after this, we'll have our winners, the top two guys. So, let's see. Okay, so someone named Kelvin Linas, Piyush Dotto, and who is Kelvin Linas?
I am Bhaiya.
On bhai, it's a bol.
Hello. I am audible, ma'am.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
Yes, sir.
You are from which year?
First year.
First year. And Piyush Dotto? Piyush is also from
Via first year.
first year. Okay. So it was a nice one, I guess.
Congratulations. Yeah. Those were a lot of questions and really good.
Yeah. Yeah. I hope everyone got like nice experience from this.
What is the prize?
Ma'am, we
Ma'am,
have got
there
two
will be
vouchers,
Amazon
I guess.
vouchers, ma'am. Amazon
Amazon
vouchers.
vouchers.
Oh, nice, nice, nice.
I guess so. Shonodip, what kind of vouchers are we rolling out?
That you tell it better. You know it.
Okay, so we will be having ma'am Amazon vouchers. I guess so. Amazon gift cards are there most probably.
Nice,
So
nice.
after this, we'll be sharing it with them. Thank you, guys.
Congratulations.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right. Can I proceed with the next
Yeah,
session
yeah, perfectly.
now?
Sure.
Yeah, ma'am. Sure,
Yeah,
ma'am.
Or,
Sure,
or
ma'am.
sure,
do
ma'am.
we want to take 5 minutes break? Or it's fine.
It's
It's
fine
on you,
for
ma'am.
us. It's fine for everyone. I mean, if
Uh,
it's fine for you, then it's fine for
yeah,
Fine,
everyone.
ma'am.
actually.
Okay. Then let me continue.
Sure, ma'am.
Okay.
Um, so I want to like go in a like technical details a little bit more. So far I've just, touched very like high level. And so the following slides will be more about the actual technology aspects that I generally do in my day-to-day life. So let me play this video. So as you saw, like real-time data processing, though there are a lot of technologies like Flink, as I mentioned, like is one technology, Spark streaming is another technology, but the way to consume the data, uh, it takes a lot of uh, like knowledge about you know how these systems are created, how it really works. So as you saw, it's an unbounded stream, right? It continuously flows. How do you trap that data and then put it into the data warehouse? Stream processing, it's everybody wants it. Like everybody wants like near real time things, right? I was last time checking in Zomato, and I mean those notifications, those really like timely notifications, they are hilarious, first of all. But it is it is timely, right? Everyone wants to get information back on time. So low
I'm sorry
latency.
to interrupt, ma'am. Are you sharing something, ma'am?
Oh, okay. Wait. Then I have to redo this. Just a second. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, ma'am. Now it's visible, ma'am.
Yes,
Yeah, ma'am.
ma'am.
Okay, let me play the video once more.
Yeah, ma'am.
There we go.
Yeah, so this was what I was talking about, having like unbounded streams of data flowing and making sure that you know we captured this data while it is flowing. Um, so what are the characteristics of these pipelines? Like low latency, it is real time, high throughput, there's lots of data. Sometimes there are lots of spikes, right? In Amazon, if it's a Diwali sale or some Black Friday sale, there's a lot of customers placing orders. So at that point in time, you have that spike in data. How do you manage those spikes? Scalable. Um, Scalable means like how when the data sources change, when you have different formats of data coming in and having like data being integrated. So how do you scale that solution to have wide variety of data flowing into the same ecosystem, right? Stateful storage. So it is like when one, let's say for example, customers are ordering items, making transactions on Amazon. So those transactions are flowing, but at the same time, you have to also make sure your currency conversion systems are also working. So what is the currency exchange rate at that point in time? If a customer is purchasing in, let's say, UK, you have to convert that particular currency to a US dollar, and then you can actually put that data into the data warehouse. So how do you make sure that stateful joins work properly when these data streams flow? Fault tolerant, because we are on the cloud and we know that things can go wrong anytime, right? I know the cloud-based system, AWS or Google or Microsoft, they will take care of if any machine breaks, fails, then another machine spins up. But what if in your data pipeline events are missed due to something? How do you recapture and recalculate things based on that event from a period of history? Like, how do you process history properly? Monitor and management. So you have to like build some monitoring rules on your data before, like every day when I come, I make sure all my alerts have passed. All my dashboards, my monitoring dashboards are showing green. If there is any red or orange zone, then I make sure I go and check what is blocking that. So that's how, the data management works. So in a classic real-time pipeline, you have the data sources. For example, you have the phone or the TV where, people, let's say at Netflix, they are watching Netflix and you click on a particular show, you scroll down. So all those kind of events are tracked, and it's kind of a logging infrastructure. So that goes through Kafka. Kafka is a messaging bus in that all these events having those payloads can have, the user ID information, what the user clicked, which location, which IP address. So those kind of information flow through the Kafka topic. And once it is in the Kafka topic, we have the Flink processing engine. What Flink processing engine it does is, say for example, you want to um, like collect all the information for a particular user in a session. Session means a user is like watching a show and he's watching it continuously, or he's like watching it in a few sessions, right? Back to back, or in another time period of time. So how do you track how the user is watching the show is what we are trying to figure out but through the logs. And so that time we use a lot of functionalities that are there in Flink, like windowing. You understand what could be a session, you understand like based on a user, like what other information you can um, join together. Let's say for example the user has a historical track record of watching this type of content, right? And so if the user watches a new type of content, that will be an addition, an enrichment to that particular user profile. So those things we have to like do queries and have that understanding and make sure that the data in the data warehouse it represents the current state of the user profile. Sync means over here the data warehouse, and it can again go to another Kafka topic, and from there it can take a never-ending process, right? So that user information can be shared with data scientists, with other UI applications, where it's again used for different purposes. So the data is reused over and over and over. But as a data engineer, my role is to like have enriched data landed, like handed over to the end users so that they get some meaning, because raw logs, no one really cares like what is in the logs, and everyone has to like um, do that extraction process each time. So instead of that, the extraction process, the transformation process happens in a single real-time data processing pipeline, and then the final data set is sent for the end users to consume. Now, as we have seen that it's unbounded streams, it continuously flows. And so uh, there is no like easy way to validate the data. You have to um, have different mechanisms to validate the data. For example, you can um, like push the data into the data warehouse and also push the data into another uh, like Elasticsearch. It's a cache-based mechanism, and try to validate between two systems whether the data is matching or not. There are multiple ways to do that, but you have to put in some mechanisms to ensure the data quality, so that all the dashboards that are based on the data sets, they show the accurate information. Um, One way to do is to do a data quality score. So when you have data flowing in from different data systems, right? You have challenges like duplicate data, and we don't know like which one is correct, right? So at that point in time, you need to have proper audits and uh, understand like why this is happening. Is this recurring every day, or is it just a one-time instance? Is it something wrong in the way the user is, doing data inputs, or it is something, or there's a glitch in your own program while you're processing the data? So that time, the data quality score is something which helps us know that, okay, this table or this data set is good to use for the machine learning systems. Now here it's a high level architecture where as we were talking about OLTP and OLAP systems, right? On the left, you have all the OLAP, OLTP systems, like the source data store, which could be MySQL or Postgres. In Netflix, we have a lot of microservices, and we also have some Iceberg data sources, which is like the data warehouse data sources. All of them, they have a source connector. It flows through Kafka, and then we have the enrichment in Flink. Then it comes to the data warehouse. We have big tables, small tables, like, fact tables and dimension tables over here. I would strongly encourage you to understand dimensional modeling. If even if you um, um, are going for data analysis skills, I think having a good knowledge of dimensional modeling really helps to land this data into the data warehouse. Then you have different query engines, and then finally people see it on dashboards. Here, I think Tableau is missing, but yeah, Tableau is also there. Then this is how the things flow, and this is the ideal state. Things are flowing fine, but something changes in the source. One data column changes, data type. What will happen at that point in time to the downstream, right? So those are the things that we need to keep in mind while designing the pipeline so that maintainability is good. Um, yeah. And the interesting part is that Iceberg is a technology. If you find time, you can learn more about icebergs. This was developed at Netflix, and now it is used in many places across the industry. So it kind of like helps in schema evolution, where if a new column is added in the data store, it automatically gets added to these tables. So we don't need to do anything to add a new column. Um, but this is, as I mentioned, this is the ideal state, and there is no like one size fits all. Everything, every vertical, like for example, marketing, retail, finance. There are so many domains at Netflix. So everything that doesn't work in this way for all cases. Sometimes the data flows through just API endpoints. As I mentioned, like uh, you can extract data from directly IMDb data sources. You can directly go to Wikipedia and get the data sources, right? From IMDb and all, we can get uh, if we can get to know like what are the films Tom Cruise has worked in before, what is he working on now. So we also pull in data from external data sources that are not part of Netflix, and we can try to figure out, okay, if the what what could we extract from this data if like Tom Cruise is Tom Cruise available for next year to do a movie with us, right? So in that way. Screenplays, it's like the script. Remember, like I told you, when a movie starts, we start with the script. And from a script, you can actually know the budget, what could be the schedule, what could be the location, whether it needs subtitle, dubbing, uh, whether it has sensitive content, whether it is like good to watch for kids, or things like that. So you have a lot of things that can be derived from scripts. Now let's see like how we can derive these concepts. So this is a script. This is a Hollywood script, and it's unstructured, but it has a particular format. And all scripts doesn't have this format. So if you go, if you're in India, a script will not be in a particular format that we can extract data from. So in that case, the pattern recognition will work in a different way. In Japan, it's a different way. Korea also it is different. But this structure is universal in US, where you can extract from a script what is the character, what's the dialogue, um, you know, the scene, the character description. What this helps is, as I mentioned, um, from the dialogues, you can understand whether you need, a VFX shot if somebody is getting shot, if somebody is falling down. So those are some things where you can, do VFX, and VFX costs a lot, right? A lot of money is spent in doing VFX and animation for these kind of movies. And so if we know beforehand that the movie requires this much of VFX, then we can budget accordingly. Um, so this is a scalable way of budgeting and scheduling a particular movie. Now, coming to the machine learning part, so once you have all the scripts, like on the left, you have that script corpus. There are hundreds of scripts, right? And for a movie, there is not one single script. Every time the script is evolving, even during the camera rolls, the script can evolve, right? Um, so then we develop a script understanding model based on the structure I mentioned before. So we put that data into the data warehouse, and then we understand what the script is about. Um, it's a large language model developed by researchers trained on historical Netflix original script corpus. So what it does is, based on the script, it can figure out whether it is what type of script it is, like it's a horror movie or a comedy movie. So it gives certain tags. Like if you see on Netflix, in those canvases, you'll see it's family movie or it's a finance related movie. Those tags are there. How do we um, propagate these contextual information to the screen? Is through these tags. And embeddings is something like all the features that we extracted from the script, they are then vectorized into embeddings, and those embeddings are stored in Iceberg, right? Iceberg is the data warehousing solution. It's a table format, and as I mentioned, it takes care of those consistency, acid related things. So it's it's a it's a widely used industry standard for data warehousing. Now, coming to how will you store these embeddings? So as you can see, a script can be a big one, right? And the embeddings is like the information that the researchers they need to create those models to understand the script well. And um, because of this large size of embeddings, it is important as a data engineer, someone who is designing this table, to make sure the queries run well on this particular table. So for that instance, when we designed this table, the embeddings were so huge, like no one could query for a particular script, what's the vector. So we had to apply a partitioning logic that time, batch ID, and that really helped in parallelization. Like if you use Spark and if you're using Spark SQL, you can write queries efficiently because with the help of script ID, if you put in the filter condition and the underlying data files are put into separate partitions based on batch ID, the embeddings are also like split there. So in that way, you can get the data that you need uh, from this voluminous data set. So this is just an example of how you should keep those concepts in mind while you're designing the data models, the partitioning concept, and how do you make sure you have good column naming conventions so that the the downstream users they understand how to query the data. You cannot just put the column type as text for everything. You have to have defined column types uh, so that it works fine when they query the data. Um, so this is just a comic, like we have a bunch of data, I'm going to analyze it. No, you fool, that will only create more data. Um, so it's a never-ending process. And at Netflix, we've observed that though we try to build like good foundational models, but the analysts or the scientists, they have their own way of creating the things, right? They create their own like small tables, and so there is more data always. And so it is important to like talk to them, understand like how they are using your data so that you can create a table that can be used by multiple people rather than they building small isolated tables only for their purpose. So challenges that I've observed is like these are the common challenges like inaccurate data, like ambiguity, duplicates, as I mentioned. Data modeling perspective, it's more about um, connecting various data sets. As I mentioned, like Netflix is going to games, live events, and there is the movies, right? As I work on the studio space where it deals with producing content, game is also a kind of content. Live events is also a kind of content that is getting launched. But how? So, for example, there is Squid Games as a live action movie. There is also Squid Games game that could be launched, right? How do you connect these two data sets so that you understand, okay, um, when a Squid Game movie was launched, then this particular game related to that particular movie, it got so many users. So you need that connection to be established. For that to happen, you need to have good data models. By me, and when I say good data models, it's more about um, like having um, the same representation of the column. Let's say you call something movie ID, the same column should be also available in the game's data model, that is movie ID, so that you can connect those two data sets and extract the information, right? There should not be any like missing rows when you are connecting the data sets. There's also a concept of semantic layer. Semantic layer means, as I mentioned, when you see other people creating small data sets, you have to know like how your data is used and create a standard data model at first so that it can be used by multiple people, right? It's self-service. So for that, you need to understand what's your usage of data. And I will not go much deep into semantic layer. That's another big topic. But foundation wise, data modeling is very related. So this particular thing, right, how I developed the features is called feature engineering, uh, helps the researchers to run their machine algorithms because researchers wouldn't really like know how to scale querying for a particular table. So they understand the business well, they understand the other statistical concepts well, but this is something like as a data engineer or business intelligence engineer, you can, more work towards. How much time is left?
10 to 15 minutes, 10 to 12 minutes actually, ma'am.
Okay. Cool. So I have another part of it, which is the scalable animation production reporting framework at Netflix. So I also worked on the animation space and the animation world, like everything we do with partners. Say, for example, I'm working with Sony or DNEG or the animation studios. Uh, like they have their own infrastructure, right? They want to like track the things in Google Sheets or in PDF documents, in emails, uh, but but their technology is also evolving over time. And so how do you now Netflix, how it does is, let's say, for example, you have uh, a movie that is greenlit, means it's about to be created. The production phase is going to start. Now we have uh, made a deal with the animation studio, and they are going to like work on, let's say, developing those animations. So in the animation world, there are different terms. Uh, like you have to know like which one is the primary character. Like in the Moana movie, let's say for example, you have primary character, you have secondary characters, you have other characters around it, you have the environment, you have props, you have Moana's hair, right? How the hair will be based on the script, you can understand like how textured the hair will be, and based on those uh, points from the script, you can actually understand how much the movie will cost, right? If the hair is straight, it will be less. If the hair is more textured, more voluminous across the frames, then it will be costing more. So those type of model understanding is there, and it is um, it is then once we have a particular budget allocated and the time by when the movie will be produced, then we work with our partners, the animation studio. But the animation studio will send us some reports. Like, I have, um, like, for example, I have created this particular asset and I will take this much amount of time. So we have to track. So as a executive of that particular movie, we have to track that the movie is progressing on time or not. So here is the animation production process where you have development, pre-production, production. And I'm talking about the production phase where you have the asset production, like the actual character development, the animation, where the character moves. And then you have the post-production phase where you actually do a lot of like texturing, color, lighting on those assets. Say for example, you get, let's say, you get to work now. Netflix doesn't work with one partner, right? Netflix works with like 4 or 5, or I think more than 4 or 5 partners, and it works on multiple titles at a time. So as an executive, if you have to manage multiple titles at a time, then you need to have a like quick way or a summarized way to understand how things work across the partners, not just one partner at a time. Otherwise, it will be very tedious and manual for you to like read the Excel sheets one at a time. So it will be very cool to have a dashboard showing that, um, 4 or 5 partners, this is the particular state. Remember the Sankey diagram I showed you? Like what's the state of each sort of each particular data set. So this is kind of the data sets that are getting tracked, like the assets, the shots, the bids, because the budget may also increase over time. As I mentioned, the script can change depending on the writer or the creative. So the budgets can change. Quota is something like the upper limit of the budget. And labor week budget, like how many days the people are going to work, whether they are going to work for 8 hours, 12 hours, those things. Um, and but how will you do it when you have each studio having different department structure? Say someone like does lighting in one way, someone does animation in one way. The granularity of reporting. Some people don't share like everything. They just send like a overall summary. Some studios like share very granular data, diverse units of measurement. Say for example, someone shares the labor weeks or labor days. Someone shares, the metrics in frames or seconds. So there's a lot of diversity in the data, but you have to like bring together the data and provide that dashboard. That's the end goal. All right. So how will you do that? And also the frequency of reporting can vary. Like some studios can give weekly updates, some can give monthly updates, right? And of course, PDFs. How do you scan PDFs and bring the data? Previously, it was more about like isolated approach. Like within the Excel sheets or the Google Sheets, we had formulas saying that, if it comes in this column, go and extract to this column. Formula-based things. It didn't scale. a data pipeline. So each file, each Google Sheet had its own data pipeline. So if there would be a new studio that we are partnering with, new film, then a new pipeline had to be created. So it doesn't make sense. We cannot reuse an existing pipeline. And we had some dashboards, but it was only for one or two solutions. Now, it was time consuming. Um, like each movie when we had to onboard for reporting, it was like taking like 6 months to onboard. So it was like by the time we had that report, I think people already had done their analysis on Google Sheets. And because animation is very costly, right? It takes a lot of time, 4 to 5 years to create a movie. And if we don't know to assess the budget well, to assess our partners well, whether they are progressing well, then we can miss the launch. So it is very critical for business. Now, so what changes we have done here? So there is an application where you can set up the movie. It's called ShortGrid, and reports. It's like the Excel sheets. Then um, the data workflow is there, which handles all the data transformations. If there are any errors in the transformations, we send it through Slack, and then it goes to the data warehouse. And from the data warehouse, it goes to the data dashboard. Now, if you see, the whole thing happens by the click of a button right now. So the user comes to the ShortGrid project setup, and he clicks on a button that uh, we are ready to extract the information from this Google Sheet. And this whole data workflow is able to figure out what transformations I need based on this uh, data source format. And then the user can immediately get the notifications if the solution, if the report has invalid data or missing data, everything gets reported to the user, and he can trigger it once more if if there is a need to do it again. So this is an automated way to do it rather than the traditional way of doing it one by one. So this is the whole like architecture of it. Like you have different data sources, you are parsing it, you have a So I created a Python library where you can parse the data sets. And then by using PySpark, it's like using Python only, but on the query engine side, you have Spark. And then I wrote like reusable transformation functions. Uh, so for example, if you need to pivot the data, unpivot the data, rename the columns, reformat the data. So all those transformation functions, reusable functions are written here. Then you have a module called discrepancy detector. As I mentioned, if there is missing data or invalid data, that gets published to Slack. So that is there. Monitoring and notifications. Monitoring and notifications means whether like you have proper integrations for publishing the data, right? You're publishing to Slack, whether that notification got sent or not. Those exception handling scenarios should be there. And finally, publishing it to Google Sheets and data warehouse. So for each one, for each data source, there's a parser. And this is how we used Spark data frames to transform. If you see, each transform line has a function, right? Right. And each function is reusable. So if another project comes tomorrow, I can reuse these functions and generate the same data set and publish it to the data warehouse. So that's the idea that I wanted to share, is that for generating similar looking data, you need to create like reusable components in your Python library, um, so that it becomes a scalable solution. So this is all I had for this talk, but let's also like have some questions. And I would like to like end on this notion that you know, just be open and try to learn more and more. Like all you might be like you're in very formative years of your career, and you need to like really be understanding that there's lot of there will be a lot of opportunities, and you have to like start from somewhere. So once you start, I think that will give you that push to really, go push yourself forward. But starting is the only uh, thing that we don't do generally, and that's what I wanted to like encourage all of you is to look up resources on the internet, like use ChatGPT as much, I would say, because that's a great resource, to learn something new. But yeah, happy to answer any questions.
Mm, thanks a lot, ma'am. And that was really great, ma'am. We got to learn many things actually. So from here, ma'am, one question that I have personally on behalf of everyone, because we are from first year, we have audiences from first year, second year, third year, and fourth year itself. So, ma'am, we are in our very infant stage of our career, and if you want to guide us that what is the best thing that how to take proper decisions, how to means because we sometimes go into deep overthinking and stuff like that. Should we do this, should we do that? Because in these days we have lot of means options in our hands, and along with that we have many things, because we if we go through the on campus placements we need to go through aptitudes, DSAs, and have a good resume and many things, ma'am. So you were also in the same place a few years back, ma'am. And
Mm.
what is the proper thing that we should do right now? Because we are here because fourth year are there who are having campus placements going on right now, and people who will be going through the same phase within 2 to 3 years, people folks from first year, second year, and third year itself. So what is the thing you want to guide us, how you want to guide us, ma'am? So
Mm. I would say understand your strengths and weaknesses. Take time. Understand your strengths and weaknesses because that's what will guide you to your next step, right? So it won't happen in one single day. You have to like sit, uh, spend time, like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, knowing like out of all the courses that you have taken, which ones really resonate with you? Like I remember there were so many courses, right? But the ones that really resonated with me was like Alok Basu's lectures on like DBMS and Mithun sir's Automata, and there were some things on circuit design. Yeah, I mean some things you really like, right? And when you like something, you should um, try to understand how things are working, like which like why do you like it? Like is it something, is the logic part, is it the programming part, is it the distributed systems part, is it what is it that really like makes you passionate? Then I would go ahead and say that nowadays like we use a lot of applications, right? Like Netflix or Zomato or whatever, Perplexity AI, this, that, so much. Try to understand the system design, like how it is working. When you're using something, any notifications you're getting, how does it work? So you will get a lot of resources on the internet to learn more about it. And because when you interview for any company, those would be the question, like basic questions: how systems work, how will you design this system, how how do you work in a team, right? If you're there will be some, I think, behavioral questions as well during your interview. So look up the internet and figure out like what are the top 10 questions that are asked as part of behavioral questions for because as I mentioned, you cannot work alone. You have to work in a team. So that's why they will ask those questions to understand based on your prior experience or prior project experience, what you have done. Now, coming to projects, as I mentioned, there is no scarcity of information on the internet. You can do like take small data sets from Kaggle, from here, from there, and try to like do whatever you can hands-on. I haven't done any hands-on kind of thing in this session because I felt that it will go into too much technical details. But but I would suggest really uh, like there's a lot of opportunities and free online courses on the internet. Um, but I would also caution one thing that don't try to do all things at once because that's what um, happens, right? When you have a lot of information, you get overwhelmed and just try to do things like, oh, he's doing this, she's doing that, let me also do that. But it doesn't help. And you have to complete what you started. That's what I learned, right? You cannot do everything, and each thing needs a lot of time to understand. Um, and so take your time, I would say. And I mean, this is just the beginning. I would be really, so happy if could go back to those college days that time. I mean, I do understand, like, the pressure and everything, but trust me, like, things will change. Change is the only thing that will be constant. I think that's the only word I can say. Um, and uh, the thing is, you should have trust in your people, in the team that you work in. You should build those relationships with people because uh, the even like the people who I have worked with like 10 years back, 12 years back, I still talk to them. So have good relationships with people so that um, you never know like where you can help them or they can help you. So I think that is there. And what else? Placements, questions. I mean, um, before you going to go to the interview, I guess you would have the top questions that are commonly asked for each interview or not. Yeah. So
Yeah.
each company like has their own kind of like job description and maybe like just be aware um, of the questions that come up and be prepared for it. It's like I told you about showing up, but showing up, being prepared is what matters. So for being prepared, you need to be aware of what is happening around you. Why is the company hiring you, right? What's the project about? Try to understand the project that they are hiring you for. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, that
So
was really great, ma'am. So we now
I
we
I
have
have
uh,
two questions from
okay,
my
okay.
side actually.
Yeah,
I can
sure.
see many guys have asked to. Ma'am, can you just give me a like a starting for those who are preparing for data science actually? So in what like we
Mhm.
have got a question here. So like a roadmap, if we not a roadmap, like from where do they start basically as a rookie or as a एकदम मतलब the lowest of all? From which part should they start? Should we start in that for data
Um,
science or
just fourth year pass out.
no, ma'am. Like for our like for preparing in data science, many guys will have a keen interest on data science. Many will have a full stack. So if anyone is having an interest in data science, so what should they prepare for themselves?
Mm. For my thing, I think I developed an interest by going to some in-person sessions, as I mentioned back at Infosys. So at college, if you have, those kind of opportunities to go for in-person sessions where you can ask questions directly to your professor, I think that would be important way to like enter data science. Other than that, I would say there is this YouTube videos like StatQuest and things that can help you. There are books on machine learning, programming books on R, Python. So the thing is, whatever I'm saying, it doesn't mean that you need to follow this path, right? You can have your own path. You can like R, you can write, you can learn Python and be very good at it. Um, then I would say understanding like how do you do data interpretation, right? Those skills are important. Like not those aptitude data interpretation. I'm saying like when you see a visualization, like in in those Tableau websites, how do you interpret that data? Those skills are important. Um, yeah, I mean it's a never-ending process. I don't
It's a
know.
never-ending process. Perfect, ma'am. Learning is never-ending. So, ma'am, just
Yeah.
one more question. So, I guess so someone has asked to join Netflix. How much focus should be placed on DSA, and what is the difficulty level? I was just scrolling and I just saw this.
Yeah, DSA, I mean, direct DSA questions are not asked, but while you work at Netflix, um, it helps. Say, for example, you're using Python dictionaries or, queues or trees, uh, arrays, stacks. I think basic things are important, like the breadth first search, depth first
Mhm.
search, searching algorithms, sorting algorithms. Yeah, I mean, you should have that knowledge. I mean, you have to have that knowledge. That's it. Yeah.
Okay, so we can say the level is like, ma'am, moderate, we can say, for the DSA.
Moderate. Moderate. Yeah.
And last questions, like one guy asked, ma'am, it's of someone. Many guys are curious here. Do you get updates about OTT release dates from movies beforehand as a Netflix?
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
So it is been asked by Aviru Pasu.
What? What?
No, ma'am, the question was asked by Aviru. So
Mhm.
he was curious about it. So, ma'am, like many days before you get it,
We get to know, of course, like we deal with that data, so we know it. But it's confidential. It's not like exposed outside. But we also, as a Netflix employee, we also like get to like see screenings of movie before it is released. So we go to the theater here in the Hollywood, and there the director comes, some actresses come, and then we can like watch the movie with them. Yeah.
perfect, ma'am. That's a
Mhm.
Netflix premium to premium.
Mhm.
Okay,
Yeah.
so this much
Yeah.
Q&A we were having. You know.
So I
Yes,
think with the ma'am, that was great, ma'am. So it was
Mhm.
really fun actually, and it was. I think you liked the session also. And along with that, we will be having thanks. We will sharing some thanks by members of Computer Engineer Society, ma'am. So I think Iftikhar, you are the one. Two members are there. Iftikhar, start with it.
Yes, good evening, ma'am. I'm Iftikhar, a second year CSC student. I would like to extend our deepest gratitude to you, ma'am. Uh, you are the senior data engineer at Netflix and one of the proud alumnus of our institute. Your insightful workshop and your industry experience has given us invaluable knowledge about the field of data engineering. And we are truly grateful for the time and the expertise you have shared with us today. Also, big thank to our faculty and the organizing team of Computer Engineer Society for making this event possible. Once again, thank you, Sreyashi ma'am, uh, and our faculties and everyone here. We are eager to join such events in upcoming future. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, it's been a really amazing time for me as well. I really enjoyed, and I really enjoyed the participation and, of course, the quizzes and interacting with all of you. I'm very happy to come again and, share anytime. So, yep, cool. Thank you so much for organizing this.
Ma'am, there is one more
There's
uh, team
from a
member
third year.
that from third year, Shreya Prasad, ma'am. She also wants to share some vote of thanks. So, Shreya,
Good evening, ma'am. Ma'am, I'm Shreya Prasad from CSE third year. And firstly, I would like to take a moment to extend our heartfelt gratitude to you, ma'am, for sharing your time and expertise and insights with us today. As a senior data engineer at Netflix and a proud alumni from our college, you have an exceptional background in data engineering and machine learning. And we are truly fortunate to have you here and got an opportunity to learn from you. Your session has been both inspiring and deeply informative, offering us a glimpse into the complexities and possibilities within the field. And the techniques and the insights shared today will be no doubt the invaluable that as we navigate our own learning journey. Thank you once again, ma'am, for such an engaging session that has sparked new ideas and fueled our curiosities. And also, we look forward in coming future to have more sessions with you.
Of course, thank you so much. Really, really, I feel good. Yeah.
Thank you,
And
ma'am.
and I really wish all of you all the best in your future endeavors.
So, ma'am, we have a small token of appreciation from our
Thank you,
side,
ma'am.
but it's like very much you are when we will be meeting soon. So it's a bit of like from HOD sir and from our entire department.
Oh,
Uh,
wow. Thank you so much.
so
That's really great. Thank you.
we
Thank you
hope
to all
we
of
will be,
you.
yeah, ma'am, we will be meeting very soon. I hope in person once you come back to India
Yeah,
for
sure.
some
I'll be
holidays
there
and
actually in December. Yeah.
and especially
But
to
I
Siliguri.
can't come this time. Maybe like, yeah, next year, sometime when I come, I'll surely like meet.
Sure, ma'am, sure.
Yeah. Thank you
Just
so much. This really means a lot to me.
yeah,
Yeah.
ma'am.
uh,
Ma'am,
it's
so did you like the session or something that you want to say? Means, how was it and anything, ma'am?
yeah, ma'am.
It was perfect. It was all like no technical difficulties whatsoever. It was so smooth, first of all. And the moderation also was very perfect. I mean, the timing management, right, in between the sessions. And I hope the session gave you uh, a little
It's
idea about
obvious.
how Netflix works. Yeah,
Obviously, ma'am.
that
It
that
it has.
that was my message I wanted to deliver. And yeah, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to me on LinkedIn, or I can share my email as well. So you can reach out.
Okay, so after like we organized such an alumni like after alumni meet with after like approx 4 to 5 years, and it was a like a great one in fact. And Computer Engineer Society also like revamp after 3 to 4 years. So this was one of the first web workshop and a great experience from your side too, ma'am. Today, due to some prior meetings of HOD sir, he couldn't be with us.
Okay,
Uh,
okay.
Due to some international conference in college, he along
Okay,
with the
okay.
principal sir.
Got it, got it. But I really enjoyed interacting with all of you.
We enjoyed you
We
too.
too.
So
We too,
guys,
ma'am.
we can go for a thumbs up then. We can go for a thumbs up,
Yeah,
everyone.
sure. Yep.
Take us
Yeah,
take a snap
taking the
of it,
time like
guys.
on a Friday evening is really great. Enjoy your weekend. Yeah.
Sure, ma'am. It's for
Sure,
you
ma'am.
too, ma'am. But it's a
Too, ma'am.
morning for you. But
Yeah. My
Yeah,
day
ma'am.
has just started, 8 a.m. Okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
ma'am.
Thank you so much. I have to drop now. Yep.
Sure.
Thank you, ma'am.
Bye.
Thanks a lot, ma'am. Thanks a lot.
Thanks
Thank
a
you,
lot,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank